Hello everybody, Sandrine here from Savoir Faire Women's Nutrition. I would like to chat with you today about bloating and explain really what it means to be bloated, to have a bloated stomach. There's lots and lots of people that complain from this. It has become something really common, and I think, in my opinion, too many people are coping with it, are living with it, because they think it's a normal thing to feel, or they have been told that there's nothing that can be done. And tonight I want to explain what it means and what can be done and why you should do something about it. Okay, so what is bloating? Well, bloating is usually described when the abdominal is filled with gas and air, and it feels really uncomfortable. It can feel hard, it can feel full, and it can be also accompanied by nausea, by tiredness, and other symptoms really. And even people do say, I have a pregnant belly, it gets so big that you can't wear your usual trousers. That's a big deal, right? Not being able to fit in your wardrobe because you're bloated. It's not because you've put on weight. It's because there is something going on in your stomach or your digestive system. And this can really affect your life. And I say that because I've been there. And this is the reason why I retrained as a nutritionist is because years ago, probably about 10 years ago now, I suffered terrible digestive issues that really truly affected my life. And that made me decide to actually study nutrition to find out what was wrong, because I wasn't getting the help, from conventional medicine. And I basically studied for 3 years and did more research to actually understand my trigger. There is always a starting point to bloating. Something's causing it. And it's really interesting to find what that is, because it can give you clues about, what's happened to your body and how to then support it to make it feel better. My starting point was food poisoning when I was abroad. I went on a surprise trip to North Africa, and I wasn't prepared at all, so I enjoyed all the food I was given and the juices and all sorts of lovely things, but unfortunately I came back very ill. And from that point, of course, at the time I didn't know this was the starting point, but from that point my digestive system became very sensitive. And as time went on, I felt there was less and less things I could eat without reacting to this food. Okay. And it took me a long time to work out what was going on. I tried so many diets. I tried elimination diet, I tried gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free, paleo, you name it. I did try lots. And, it comes to a point where enough is enough. You need some answers. So I also did lots of tests. Private tests, because these were not available on the NHS. So what tests did I do? I did a vitamin and mineral analysis to see which one I was absorbing and which one I wasn't. I did a hair mineral analysis, which is really interesting, to find out whether you have heavy metals in your body. And heavy metals can cause issues, particularly with absorption. I did a stool test to work out what was going on in my gut, and that gave me lots of information. And eventually I realized that I was suffering from leaky gut. So this is when the digestive system is damaged, and particles of food go through the intestines and then circulate in the body, causing inflammation. Okay. So what should you do if you are feeling bloated? Okay, so the first thing you can do is to keep a journal and record the food that you eat. It's not easy, you know, but by writing down everything that you eat, you may find the one food that maybe you eat every day that is causing you the most trouble. And if that's the case, it could be maybe the one food. But this method is much more efficient than doing a food intolerance test. It's much more accurate because you're really recording what's going on in your body. When you do a test, depending on what you've consumed before doing that test, the results might be different. So I'm not saying they're not good at all, but they give you an indication. But I find that doing a elimination is much more effective. You really get to the bottom of what's going on. Now, the second point is you're going to eliminate some foods, but it's important to heal the gut, because if you reintroduce those foods without healing the gut, then the issue is going to come back for sure. Okay. So what do people try to get rid of bloating? So the elimination diet is number one. You may be recommended to try Fodmap Diet by your GP. And this is really interesting diet, actually. Fodmap foods tend to ferment in the gut. So by removing those foods, you are giving your body a chance to rest in a way, and then you reintroduce these food bit by bit to see which one affects you. But a FODMAP diet is not a long-term solution, far from it. It's perfectly safe to follow for about 4 weeks, but you need to do some work alongside that. So just doing a FODMAP diet is going to, yes, is going to reduce your symptoms, but then what happens after the 4 weeks? You'll find that the diet is very restrictive, and that you may start missing some nutrients because you are cutting out a lot of food out of your diet. So great tool, but it needs to come alongside a treatment. So what do people do as well? They can try probiotics or probiotic rich foods. And absolutely, basically the bloating is caused by bacteria in the gut. And the issue with taking probiotics maybe too earlier on in the process is that it can make you feel better or it can make you feel worse. So that is very, very common. So whether you take a supplement or whether you take probiotics rich food, you should definitely go really, really slowly to start with. But if you do feel worse, it means that we need to rebalance the gut first and probably eliminate some of the bad bacteria before we add more good ones. So getting help is super, super important, because what I'm noticing in my practice, and this is my area of specialism, you know, digestive health, is that if you let it, you know, if you kind of hope that it's going to disappear, it tends to get worse. And I have to say, the people that tend to come and see me are people who have gone through the conventional route and perhaps not found the answers. And that's several years down the line, you know, after first feeling the symptoms. And a lot of things happen to the body in the meantime, you know. A buildup of bacteria can then cause other issues like skin issue, breathing issues. So the sooner you get it addressed, the quicker you can sort it, basically. And so the way I work, obviously, I will adopt an elimination diet. That's kind of the process. But I also help with identifying if the body is missing anything. So it could be stomach acid to digest the food and break it down properly. It could be digestive enzyme, again, to break down the food further down, you know, in the small intestine and the colon. And we follow this process. It's a step-by-step approach. And for some people, the results will be quite quick, you know. 1 or 2 months can make a really, really big difference. For other people, we may sort out the bloating, but then something else might come up. And that's completely normal. You know, depending how many years you've had the issue for, it's sort of a layered scenario, if you like. So we are removing one layer after the other and then discovering what's happening underneath. So my biggest advice would be, don't put up with bloating. It's not a normal thing. In fact, it could hide something quite serious. So without knowing what it is, you just have no idea what's going on in your body. And you are entitled to know what's going on. And not everyone is trained to investigate those reasons. But there are more and more people specializing in that area, and I'm one of them. And I'm really, really passionate about helping people get that freedom, you know. That's how I felt, free from symptoms to start with, no more bloating, a flat stomach, being able to wear the clothes that I want to wear, and also to be able to choose the food I want to eat. Okay, I'm still sensitive to some foods because they're usually not great anyway, processed food, that sort of thing, but I can enjoy a good quality sourdough bread. How amazing is that? As a French person, it's quite crucial. So if you want to discuss any of this, please feel free to get in touch. But please remember one thing is, you know, if you are experiencing bloating, don't just live with it and cope and make do, you know, do address the cause, and you deserve to feel better, and I'm here to help. So thank you so much for watching. I hope it was useful, and I will see you very soon. Thank you.